Hello and welcome to the Westcity Church podcast. If you'd like to get to know us more, find us at westcitychurch.com.au. We really hope that you're encouraged by today's message.
I feel like we're a small country church today, and I really love that. We're driving down from just Inaloo and drove past a few big mega churches, and I couldn't think of something more uncomfortable than the prep that would go in before a service there compared to this beautiful church. And I love that. So my communion message today comes from a boring background. There's no question I dislike more. I don't like small talk anyway, but a small talk question I really don't like is, when did you become a Christian? Because for me, it's boring. I grew up in a Christian home, Christian parents, Christian church. You've heard it all before. I think a better question is, when did you start questioning your Christianity? Obviously, that's not small talk for everybody. But for me, the communion table, I grew up going to it every week. It was like this tokenistic subscription that I did because my parents did it, and I didn't really understand why. And it wasn't really until a few years ago that I kind of had a bit of huge crisis of faith, which I think is often a good thing. If you're supported by good people, I think should be encouraged, not discouraged. But then I started looking at the table very differently. And I think for Westcity, the beautiful thing about Westcity is we're a refuge, which is good. A lot of us have come from churches that have hurt us or we kind of feel burnt out about. But I think the table is a painful reminder that we have to break bread for those people. And for me, John 13 kind of sums it up the most. I really struggle to read the Bible now, to be very honest, because again, I grew up with it, so often it just goes over my head. But I find most often the Gospels, when Jesus is talking, it's pretty hard to ignore. So John 13 is Jesus washes his disciples' feet. The evening meal was in progress, and Judas, the son of Simon the Iscariot, was to betray Jesus. Jesus knew that the Father had put all things under his power, and that he had come from God and was returning to God. So he got up from the meal, took off his outer clothing, and wrapped a towel around his waist. After that, he poured water into a basin and began to wash his disciples' feet, drying them with the towel that was wrapped around him. He came to Simon Peter, who said, "Lord, are you going to wash my feet?" Jesus replied, "You do not realize now what I am doing, but later you will understand." "No," said Peter, "I will not let you wash my feet." Jesus answered, "Unless I wash you, you have no part with me." "Then, Lord," Simon Peter replied, "not just my feet, but my hands and my head as well." Jesus answered, "Those who have had a bath need only to wash their feet. Their whole body is clean. And you are clean, though not every one of you." For he knew who was going to betray him. And that was why he said not everyone was clean. When he had finished washing their feet, he put on his clothes and returned to his place. "Do you understand what I have done for you?" he asked them. "You call me teacher, and you call me Lord, and rightly so, for that is what I am. Now that I, your Lord and your teacher, have washed your feet, you should also wash one another's feet. I have set you an example that you should do as I have done for you. Very truly I tell you, no servant is greater than his master, nor is a messenger greater than the one who sent him. Now that you know these things, you will be blessed if you do them." Then Jesus said, "It is the one whom I will give this piece of bread that I have dipped in the dish that will betray me." Then, dipping this piece of bread, he gave it to Judas, the son of Simon Iscariot. As soon as Judas took the bread, Satan entered into him. So Jesus told him, "What you're about to do, do it quickly." But no one on the meal understood why Jesus said this to him. And for me, that's the table. It's not this subscription for personal salvation. Maybe it is, but for me, the more profound thing is that every time I come to the table, and there's been weeks where I physically can't, I have to break bread for the people that have hurt me. I have to break bread for those who have betrayed me. So maybe today, think about that. Maybe carry somebody. Often it's my brother for me, or someone at work, someone who have had a really tough theological conversation with that I very much disagree, bring them to the table, wash their feet. Don't come, take it as a subscription, sit down, think that you're more holy than somebody else. Come humbly, ready to wash their feet, because I personally feel that that's why we're here.
Great, guys. Lovely. Hello, everyone. Good morning. Let's have a seat. My name is Kelley. I'm going to have a conversation today with you, I trust, about pilgrimage and pilgrimage in community in particular. So, I don't know. I'm a bit of a walker. Is anyone else here a walker? Like goes for walks? Come on. Have we got no walkers in this group? Oh, my gosh. Okay, we've got a few walkers. I mean, walking has got this amazing capacity to settle you, doesn't it? Do you reckon it's the metronome effect? Like, when you walk, I think it's this, I don't know, something about it. So if for me, it opens us up to conversations when you walk. If you go for a walk with someone, I have 3 sons. And my sons, they're all older now. They're not old, but they're older. So I've got 30. Are they old? Oh. You know what that says, don't you? That I'm really old. Because one's 30, 33 of the grandkids. My youngest has just turned 24, and he's in Germany for a year. My next one is 27. A week ago, he left for UK for a year. What is he saying? They're all running away from me. And then I have the 33-year-old still here. But walking, you learn as a parent that walking is your tool. When I wanted to get my kids to talk, I never asked them what's going on. Does everyone know that as a parent, right? As soon as you start to say any of those kind of questions, they run away from you. Everyone. Am I just telling? Yeah, can I just tell you that little tip? you never ask those questions like, "What's going on right now? Tell me how you're feeling." No, you go for a walk. Because it is like everything, all those little barriers between you fall away. And I would say that as soon as my sons were in a little bit of a quandary, I'd be like, I'm going to get them on a walk. And we lived up in the hills in Darlington. So there was this bridle trail. And we would walk from Glen Forest or right down to Swan View. I'd walk with them for maybe 4 Ks. And you know what? It would all tumble out. It would just tumble out. Whatever was going on would come. And it was and the beautiful thing for me was they were the same places I used to play with them as kids. Like they had like creeks and they would go and catch tadpoles. And I used to say it was their place of play. It was their place of therapy as we walked together along these trails. I think it gives you time when you walk with people to reflect and to ponder. I think it settles you. I think it is this metronome effect that somehow settles something deep inside of you, and it eases the tension. It's a consistent pace that you tend to walk at. Over the last few years at Westcity, we've been talking about this idea of pilgrimage. And pilgrimage is not the same as nomad. Nomads are kind of like on a walk, but they're not going anywhere. And a part of that is culture too, maybe, that they just walk. But pilgrimage has this sense of, I've got a destination in mind. I'm heading somewhere. And, I love the fact that when in Scripture, of course there's this destination of heaven, right? It says that we're only pilgrims passing through on our way to heaven. But there's also so many scriptures which is actually talking about a pilgrimage or being like a race or the walk. And that walk is I always say it's towards the cross. That's where you're walking, that we might know him and the power of his resurrection. It's a sense of how do I walk towards actually knowing him and then being more like him. And that's pilgrimage at Westcity. I think it's supposed to be pilgrimage for the whole of our Christian life. We've never arrived. I was a girl who grew up in church, same as you, Stu. I grew up in a beautiful, beautiful Christian family. Like with parents who were real Christians, you know what I mean? Like they didn't have a label of Christian. In fact, I reckon a lot of other people probably didn't even think they were Christian. I actually do, because they were so eccentric. I'm sure you don't think I'm eccentric, do you? I've got a little bit of eccentric, but they were mad. I mean, they were like fabulously mad, right? So when I was a girl, I went to Alice Cooper concert when I was 16. And Dad took me. I mean, I kind of went, and I was in a really consistent Christian Pentecostal home where people were really anti any of that. But I had this father who just said, faith is about so much more than getting things right. It's the long walk. And I remember him saying to us, if you go on in this faith journey, it's for the rest of your life and you're never going to arrive. But the challenge we all have is that this lifetime of movement is not going to see us have all these outcomes quickly. And we don't really live in a culture that's like that. We live in a culture of do and deliver. If I do this for you, what's going to come back? I guess here's my promise. Here's my absolute promise. A heck of a lot comes back. I'm now like in my 60s and you cannot believe how beautiful life is. And also, may I tell you, it's not perfect in any sense. I've had some really, really deep sadnesses, even over recent years. And how can it be so beautiful? Because he does do what he says. He will carry you for the whole of your life. I love this quote by Eugene Peterson. Here's a book that would really kind of get you revved up. It's called A Long Obedience in the Same Direction. Does that really kind of get you going? Woof! Who wouldn't want to go and read that? A long obedience in the same direction. It sounds so bad, but it's actually so gorgeous. He says, there is a great market for religious experience in our world. Who says that? It's true, not just in Christianity. There is a great market for religious experience in our world. There is little enthusiasm for the patient acquisition of virtue. Little inclination to sign up for a long apprenticeship in what earlier generations called holiness. Religion in our time has been captured by the tourist mindset. Religion is understood as a visit to an attractive site to be made when we have adequate issues. Is that not brilliant? When I've got adequate issues, I'll rock up. But what about the patient acquisition of a lifetime of virtue, that you can be the man or the woman that you truly want to be? That's going to take your whole life doing it. It's worth it. You know, I find it fascinating that there is this set of psalms which is called the Pilgrim Songs. That's what we're doing. And these songs used to be sung. So, Aaron, I appreciate you didn't sing it, because you actually are as bad as you say in that voice component, but probably only matched by me. So we would be a beautiful duo up here that could empty this room in a moment. But the Pilgrim Songs, they would sing them, and it'd be like the Jerusalem's up on a hill. And as they're walking up the hill to Jerusalem and then into the temple for the festivals, they would sing these songs. So that song that you spoke today, how good and pleasant it is when God's people live together in unity. It's like precious oil poured on the head, running down on the beard, running down on Aaron's beard. You were Aaron too. That was very good, wasn't it? Down on the collar of his robe. It is as if the dew of Hermon was falling on Mount Zion. For there the Lord bestows his blessings, even life forevermore. This is the idea of unity. If you want to walk this journey, this pilgrimage, it's going to take people. Like pilgrimage is not, sometimes we call them, I love when we call it a pilgrimage retreat. How hilarious. Because it almost infers you're going to run away from everyone. Let's all pilgrimage alone. We're not supposed to pilgrimage alone, even if you're an introvert, extrovert, whatever you are. Pilgrimage is something we do in the company of others. You actually need people. You need them for comfort. You need them for courage. You need them for challenge. You need them for energy when life is really, really, really tough. And I think that it's not this idea of you've got to do pilgrimage with people. This is not a must-do. This is more like a must-have. Not a must-do, it's a must-have. On Friday night this last weekend, in a minute I'm going to get Stu and Ash to come up and we're going to have a conversation around our pilgrimage walk and kind of what that pilgrimage and walk, walking with 20 other people or, groups of 20, a group of 20 ultimately that you learn. But on Friday night just gone, this last weekend, my closest friend turned 60. And as a group of us on Friday night went to her house and had a sleepover, which my nephew thought was hilarious. He's like, Auntie Kel, you're having a midlife crisis. I'm like, oh, I'm not, Zeke. Anyway, we had a sleepover. How much fun was that? And we ate a lot and we watched movies and then we talked, and it was like 2 a.m. and I was saying, oh, please leave me alone. I can't take any more, because you've always got the one friend who can keep going, with gusto. And you're saying, and honestly, I had to send her to her room like 3 times. Go to your room, please leave me. But anyway, it was such a great night. But then the next day we got up, had breakfast, and we did a busy bee at her house for the whole day yesterday as well. So then we worked together and we gardened and we painted and we talked and we ate. And at the end of this day, we had this ceremonial burning, little piece of wood, where we stood around and burnt that, and then we told each other what we felt about each other. There was a group of 6 of us. Told how much we loved each other, how we never wanted to do life alone without that other person. We didn't go completely sobbing, I wasn't falling on the ground, but I was teary, Tears were running down my face. And I was thinking to myself, and we did all this, and then by the end of the night, when I got home last night, we were all calling each other, still wanting to say, gosh, I love you. I just don't want to do life without you. I never have. But as I thought about this group of women, I knew that community had not come easy. Sometimes people say to me, I wish I had that. And I'm like, you don't know what it's cost. It's cost a lot to have that. It's cost a lot of hard conversations. It's cost getting over hurt. It's cost being there when you were so exhausted but that other person needed you. And I didn't just say no. I just said yes. We have worked with each other, we've invested into each other, we've carried each other, we've learned from each other. I've given, I've taken. 3 of those friends I've known for 40 years or more. One I've known for 25 and one I've known for 20. And they range in age from 39 to 82. Not all my contemporaries. But they have women I have chosen to be my people in that particular area of life. And you know what? The pilgrimage, the fruit of pilgrimage, I now see. But can I tell you, some of that's taken 40 years. And sometimes I see in church community, people go, oh, look, I've come along for 6 months and I don't think I found my people. I'm like, try 40 years. But not 40 years of wandering in the desert, 40 years of intentional pilgrimage together. It's going to cost you. It really does. But gosh, it's beautiful. So I was thinking to talk about at Westcity, where we want to have these ways of how do we help people to pilgrimage together. And one way we're going to do it is having walks. Because guess what happens on walks? you get to do all those things. So come on up, Ash and Stu. We had our first one a couple of weeks ago, last weekend. And it was down in the southwest. Where was it, Stu? Where was the walk specifically?
A place called Contos, which is about 20 k's south, pretty much directly south from Prevelly, which is the river mouth of Margaret River. And then we stayed at Prevelly, drove to Contos, and then walked back to Prevelly, which is about, I think I overestimated 20 k's, but it was 20 k's on the dot when we got back to camp. So
It was a tough walk though, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Like it had, what would you say, scaled from 8 to 10? An 8?
Yeah, maybe. So
We don't go on strolls at Westcity. Well, we do actually, but this wasn't a stroll. That's all right. We've got to have a bit of. I mean, I think it's people reflect. Can you come in a bit? I feel like you're over there and I'm over here. What's happening? But sometimes it's actually hard. It's hard. Walking is hard.
Yeah, I think we were talking at the end of that day. I think there's something holy about having sore feet.
We're looking at Aaron, mate.
Yeah. Particularly, I don't know, we live such mostly sedentary lifestyles, but even having sore feet together and coming back and knowing you've done something hard.
I do think that. This Bible is littered with stories of walks, right? When we think about it. Why do you think that is?
I guess I was even thinking about this before, and when we were driving to Contos from Prevelly, it's like a 15 to 20 minute drive, but then to walk back it took 8 hours. And so it's like the conversations that we had in the 15-minute drive and the time we spent together just like was so meaningless compared to the walk that we did together on the way back. And it was obviously we're prepared for it to be a different experience, but the connection that you build and like the pain you feel together, but the encouragement that you have for one another and as we all see this coming, the community development that happens when you're in this same experience, doing the same thing for a long amount of time, brings so much joy and brings so much pain, brings connection, but kind of trying to do that all together in community.
And during it time, and I was thinking about Jesus how interesting that he just walked with his disciples. Can you imagine, like we always think about, he's only with them for 3 years. I'm like, he was with them for 3 years. Like it wouldn't be like me, meeting here every, I'm coming on a couple of times a month, I'll catch up with you. It's 3 years of that intense walking together, right? So I think, what did you think when you think about what you learned from walking together, even about people in the community? What do you think you heard from people?
It was good. It was good chatting with people I agreed with, but I think it was better chatting with people I didn't agree with, and actually being able to flesh that stuff out. And over the walk, what do? You disagree, and then you hate each other, and then you walk next to each other silently for the next 6 hours. I mean, it's tempting, but it's pretty awkward. So it actually allows time to nut stuff out and actually...
That's a really good point. Because sometimes we only talk about the walk being this upside of how joy, but you're right, you can't just stay really silent with someone for 6 hours, do you? You kind of, the barriers have to come down. I was thinking, there's a scripture in James, and it says, it's true Christianity, true religion is actually found in people. That's what it says. And it says, but only you can build a robust, strong community, but only if you do the hard work of getting along with each other. That's what it actually says. If you want a robust community, you've got to do the hard work of getting along with each other, which is kind of what happens on a long walk, right? A long, hard walk like that. So was there anything you specifically learned from people that you were surprised about? Or encouraged by?
I guess I don't know if it's specifically learn about people, but learn about how we interact with generations. Because I think as I was looking around, I'm walking next to Banjo, who's 11. And then I turn around and then I'm also walking next to Nathan's dad, who's 60 plus.
So young.
A number, yeah.
Oh, just some 60 plus number.
And it's just incredible thinking the fact that it's where else in your life do you happen to firstly have a community with just this extraordinary range of people where you just get to do it so naturally, but also how
and
much you get to learn.
And it's quite a deep kind of connection when you think about it. Faith is something that most people want to keep private, right? So I think that's what's really interesting in church. We kind of make ourselves more vulnerable about stuff because we're talking about deep stuff. We're not like at the local football club where you just want to pretend it's all not happening or your drama's not happening. So I think that kind of happens on a walk too, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And I think different people, you watch them open up at different times, and you learn so much about how people are the way they are or the way that they interact with people. And yeah, it's just incredible watching people having to be so raw, but then also you watch other people kind of holding their cards close, and then after you do a 4K beach walk, then be like, I've had enough of this. And then you're having to be like, we've still got like 10Ks left.
Especially when you're leading the walk, like you've got to keep jolling everyone along, right, Stu? Stu, you've done this a lot. Stu's an outdoor ed kind of, what would you call it? Teacher or, yeah, well, I think more than a teacher. Leader. So what have you learnt from taking people on walks?
I have a really bad habit of sandbagging people. If you don't know what sandbagging means, it's when you say it's something and then you... Underestimating. So it's like, it's only 2Ks, and then 20Ks later, people are like, or Aaron started barking at me because the last 4Ks is like, oh yeah, Aaron's just around the corner. We turned a corner, he's like, it's not here. I'm like, oh no, it's next corner. And that proceeded.
I didn't mean this corner.
Yeah, just down the hill, and then we'll be there. It's encouraging people by the cheese is slowly in front of them. So for me, I don't know, I think I have to be patient with people who don't, and this is with kids as well. Quite often I'll be like, no, it's fine, let's just do it, let's go through it. Because I do it every week, but actually taking the time to slow down and walk it with people. Taking that time to actually be like, oh, yeah, this would be difficult, and this is actually quite difficult, and taking that time to chat through with them instead of, my uncle and my dad were always very on your bike, let's go. So that's my kind of inclination. But yeah, just taking that time to be slow and patient. And from a teaching point of view, this is a whole other conversation with outdoor ed, but it's historically quite a colonistic platform in the sense that we break the boy to make the man. Baden Powell and Kurt Hahn, all very white people from privilege, that the whole idea was to break young boys to make good officers. And it was all about pack marches and walking as fast as you can, as far as you can, and blisters are a sign of manhood. But I think outdoor ed should be transitioning to like a slow-paced pedagogy or a slow-paced platform where you walk 4Ks instead of 40, but in that 4Ks you actually stop and you teach and you learn. And my minor is science as a teacher, and I hate science in the classroom. I do. I hate the fact that it's 50 minutes of open up your textbook, bam, 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 bam. This is a theory, learn this name that you have no idea what it is. But when you actually go on a walk with kids, you can actually stop and be like, hey, remember that random thing we were talking about in the classroom? This is actually this happens in the tree, and this is why the weather's doing the same. And I think on a Christian pilgrimage, it's kind of the same, right? Like, this is your science classroom up here when you got 30 minutes to have a sermon. But often, most weeks, that goes over my head because I'm kind of switched off. But when you actually walk, you can actually be like, no, what I was talking about that week, this is actually what it is.
And this is that's what I think happens. I think that's why we want to, at Westcity, have this idea about pilgrimage is not just about hearing, it has to be about the doing, doesn't it? And that's why, being involved in something and doing something. I mean, I'm a great learner by verbal. Like I don't have to see things in pictures and all that. Like I was a classic great student because if they just talk it at me, I'm into it. I love it. I love words. But what I've learned as I got older, that you don't necessarily understand it just from that. You've got to actually experience it, which is why we do want to do some practical things. What would you think about pilgrimage for you in terms of your faith? Have you always been a person who's seen it as being the long journey for you and gathering things along the way, or were you a bit of a sprinter?
On the walk, I was definitely a sprinter. I think it's also because I'm only like 5'2", and I just think if everybody else has to walk at a normal pace, that's a quick pace for me, so I've always got to kind of keep up. But I think like something that I like about pilgrimage is sometimes on the pilgrimage you're alone, and it's good to be alone, and it's good to be in reflection of thinking about where's my heart, where's my soul, where's my body, where's my thoughts, where's my outlook. But then as well, some parts of the pilgrimage, you're doing it side by side, and you're doing it holding each other's hands, you're encouraging each other, or you're silently with each other.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of beauty in being with people silently, being with people in conversation, being with yourself silently, and then also having that reflection constantly as you're walking. And I guess that interaction that we have in the incredible landscape that we get in Western Australia, just like you can't help but constantly be thinking and constantly be like loving where you are. I think something that was hard to not forget was how lucky we are to live in such freedom and to live, even the fact that we all got to walk together, like the fact that we all had able bodies where we could do that was honestly a blessing in itself. But then the end of the
beauty along the way, you're saying as well, just of the country and the land that you get to walk through.
And then once we get to the end as well, I guess it was like coming together with people that have had their time pilgrimaging, like Rob and Loris, and might not have that capability to do that anymore, but the fact that we still get to journey together in a different sense, and we get to come together to the table and share in another way.
Yeah. Oh, it was a good little lead-in. We're coming to the table, didn't even prep any of that. Look, to have the kind of community that we want, guys, does take a lifetime. To be the kind of Christ follower that you want to be takes a lifetime. You've got to choose to strap in. You've got to choose, this is what I want for the rest of my life. And along the way, you have ups and downs. You have times when you question greatly. There's times when it feels easy. And I think that's the other thing. It's not a straight line at all. At Westcity, we say we want to offer community by pilgrimage dinners, by home groups, by weekend services and volunteering, by pilgrimage walks, even a church camp, which is coming up in October. But to find it, to have it, you're going to need to choose the long walk. You're going to need to say, I want to invest in walking alongside people. I want to learn from them. I want to give to them. I want to take from them. I want to help. And I want to be helped. Because all of this is actually part of that journey. It doesn't come easy and it doesn't come quickly. It's not perfect and it doesn't come without cost. Can I tell you that? But gosh, when you actually have it, it's just the most wonderful way to live out your days. One thing that we say, and we say about the pilgrimage, I've loved this picture that ultimately it is a walk to the cross. If you think about those Pilgrim Songs, climbing up into the city of Jerusalem to reach the temple, and sitting on top of the temple, in my metaphor, is the cross. Probably wouldn't work that well with the Jewish temple, but it doesn't matter. But that's what we do. Every service for us is that we come to the table and we take a communion. And this communion is this most beautiful example of remembering that Christ died for you and he died for me. And without that, really, this little gathering would have a certain amount of power, right? Because people are coming together as beautiful power. But ultimately, it's his spirit. The Spirit of God is this one thing we just don't understand, but at the same time, I felt it. I felt it deeply when I've needed him. I felt it in times of great joy and I felt it in times of great sadness. And so we come to the table here and we take a communion. If you're going to help prepare the communion, like you guys are, can you get ready for that? And we do a physical thing. I reckon it's a great, cool thing we do a walk to the table too. Who's been in churches where the communion all gets passed out? And like as it comes by you, you almost just go, it's almost like Yep, I'll take that. I remember when we went through the thing, we were having the sealed cups because we had to do COVID. Sealed cup with the wine, the sealed wafer. You just waited. You felt like you were at, McDonald's drive-through, didn't you? Like it just comes through. What we do is we get up out of our chairs. We come down the middle of the aisle. We take a piece of bread. We take a cup. A blessing is spoken over us. And it's actually this opportunity to say to God, I really always want to take the long walk back to you. I never want to do this alone. So I'm going to give you an invitation to come to the table and remind you that this is not a table of Westcity at all. This is a table that God actually ordained.
How good was that message? Thank you so much for joining us. Each week at Westcity, we say a benediction together. We do this because we believe that the purpose of the church is to be a caring community for the world, and that as we go and serve others, we enter into Christ's work of welcome, restoration and healing, both for us and others. We believe that in doing so, we get to see and encounter Christ. So let's say the benediction together. We come together as the church to be reminded of the go of Christ. So we will go out and feed the hungry, go out and clothe the naked, go out and fight for justice, go out and end oppression, go out and proclaim anew the old story, go out and associate with those who don't look like us, think like us, act like us, and don't even like us. And we'll do it all in the name of the one who sent us. His name is Jesus.